Successful everyone. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here. Again, I'd like to congratulate Rajinder, the chair for SIA, and also the volunteers and the committee for putting a well-organised event. So today, again, I'm not going to feed in too much into our break time. I know everyone's been sitting there for a while now, so hopefully we'll talk you through in terms of my experience as a PhD student, but also in my current role as a faculty and research student. But let me do a quick introduction in terms of who I am. So that's me. I'm associate professor in reading and vascular biology. That's my email address. So my interest, I'm a non-clinical research scientist. So I look at metabolic disease and its impact has on vascular biology, especially looking at our blood vessels. So I look at sort of 4 or 5 proteins which over the years they can lose their function and lead to complications like atherosclerosis, sepsis, other peripheral vascular disease. And currently I'm a PhD student, we're working on a sort of a virus, or a COVID virus, in terms of looking at how certain markers protect against that particular virus, and she's doing some interesting data on there. So I did my PhD back in 2003, and as you do, you do several years of postdocs. So I've probably got 8 to 9 years of doing postdoc, applying for grants, and then I had my first lectureship post, and hopefully it all sort of clicked into there. But recently, in the last sort of 2-3 years now, probably coming to our 3rd year, I've taken up the role as a faculty head of research students. So in that role, I lead on students' progressions, recruitment, but also supporting students within their postgraduate research journey in terms of support resources, but also most importantly, making sure that they complete their substantial piece of work within a period of time. So as I've been doing this role for a while now, I just want to share with you guys also in terms of what sort of is regarded as a successful postgraduate research program. And so the Montford University offers, I think, a Masters by Research and several PhD routes. And most predominantly in our faculty, health and life sciences, we do offer from social sciences to sort of that-based research as well. But I'm going to pose a question to you all. So first of all, raise your hands who are currently doing a PhD, or so we've got a fair few. And also a raise of hands, academics who supervise PhDs. Great. I'll be getting some input from you guys fairly shortly in terms of what is regarded as a successful sort of supervision as well. But going to the students now, in terms of where you are with this stage, I just want to open it up to the forum to say, what do you classify as a successful postgraduate research as PhD? So after you complete your PhD, what will be the key measures? I'm not looking for about a good thesis, originality and knowledge to contribution. What else do you think will classify as a good PhD once you've got that doctorate? So I'm opening up. So those who have raised their hand, students, does anyone want to start off or just give their sort of input as what you might classify one measure as a successful PhD?
I think for me, for my PhD, it's systematic review and consultation, because that solidifies the evidence of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And certainly when it comes to Viva, and you've got something that's published,
yes,
it gives your PhD a lot more credibility. So I think that's paramount. And you get your voice heard in the wider world in terms of what your topic and subject matter is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think goes to some of the inspirational sort of talks we had early on, that impact that you do through your research. So yeah, definitely say the impact aspect of your research is a good measure of outcome of your PhD. Anyone else? Yes.
For me, it's the change of policy. So I'm doing my PhD to solve a problem. So for me, if my PhD can lead to policy change, then that's a huge risk.
That's very important. I think that policy change, which again directly falls into that impact umbrella. I think that's what we do in a PhD. We're not just providing information, we want to make those changes. And I think if we are making a change in information and policy change. I think that's also the measurable part on the top of your list there as well. Again, short time, but I just listed a few here in terms of what, as a student or an individual researcher, what might classify as a measure, but also as an institute. So first is obviously timely completions. I think that is very key. It not only looks good on your CV in terms of you've managed to show good confidence of independently finishing work within a timely manner, but also it's valuable for the institute as well. Because again, every timely submission or completion is submitted for ref, and also you get some QR funding for that. Outputs, we talked about original publication, impact, case studies, and obviously ref, we don't know what 2029 looks like, we've got a brief understanding what it might be, so again, environmental statement will be very important. So in terms of your outputs, also need to think about how a research culture and environment fits in within your 1 year research. Building network and maybe opportunities for KTPs, knowledge transfer opportunities. And this is like a forum that we're doing, outreach, where we are meeting together, talking to each other and offering network opportunities. And then finally, those research skills and career aspirations you might have after doing a PhD. Timely completion. So, yeah, it's can be quite, I'm just daunting back on my experience when I was doing my PhD, taking ownership on my research project. In my second year, I gave up. I thought I'm going to give up a PhD. I had to make a career. I can't do this. I'm going out. But it was just by curiosity and sort of creativity that sort of drove me back into that. And I'm sure you've had times where you've come across a brick wall and say, hang on, why am I doing this? I could be earning, I don't know, 30, 50 or plus K, working a different, why am I doing this PhD? It's taking too much of my time and effort. But that's where you think about inspiration. And I think if you go back to our Sikhs and Nimrata, I think being patient, it comes into play. And I think just having a break from the research, engage with all the activities and come back with a fresh pair of minds, does quite help. Managing supervisors, this is a quite interesting one. So without disclosing too much about your supervisor relationship, I think that's quite key. If you can manage your supervisors effectively, I think that's a success way of completing your PhD in a timely manner. I'll just raise some points here. Again, it might vary from discipline to discipline, but take ownership of your PhD. It's your PhD, not the supervisors. I know some supervisors, obviously, I provide projects on PI, but I still try to give ownership to the student. They're the one who has a doctorate on the PhD. So let them lead. So as a student, if you're worried about the supervisors taking over control of a PhD, I think you have to be setting the agenda, go into the forum and say, look, these are the issues we'd like to discuss, and let the supervisor support you. So you're in the driving seat, you want to go to A to B, the supervisor just help you, support you to get to that sort of place. And also institute funds, make sure institute resources and training, make the use of those is very important. Again, if I reflect back on when I was doing my PhD in 2003, I used to get the emails from the institute, I used to just ignore them, delete them. I'm just focusing in the lab, getting my data and so forth. But there's a lot of opportunities, especially now in terms of supporting young early career researchers, whether there's been funds, resources, events, so make sure that you take advantage of your institute opportunities as well. Research culture and outreach, and that's quite key. I think this is an outreach activity we're doing here. We're all hearing about wonderful research some of our Sikh colleagues are doing. And hopefully later this afternoon we'll hear about the research our students are also doing the research. But this helps to deliver impact. And I talked about those measurables, but the impact is very, very key. And so also think about outside of your research as well. So public engagement activities, and again, like this outreach activities as well. There's a lot of science fairs, there's lots of sort of local businesses you can take and talk about your research, and that's where research is going, I can see. So research and innovation. So I can see knowledge exchange and research will go side by side, and that's very important to deliver that. In our faculty, we run the postgraduate research club. We also have what we host a 3-minute thesis competition. I don't know whether you've heard of that, but that's a quite challenging competition where you give 3 minutes to deliver your whole research in 3 minutes. And it's quite a unique opportunity to students to articulate their research within that short period of time. So all these events is something very, very useful as a researcher to develop yourself. I think Rajendra talked about maybe having a postgraduate research conference going forward, but within our faculty, we always promote an annual faculty postgraduate event where the student leads the conference. So hopefully from the discussion we have later on when we talk about student ambassadors, maybe we can have some sort of discussion forming a committee where we can have students thinking about how that postgraduate research conference might look like and let them lead and develop that conference. I think that would be a good opportunity. And just finally touching on research development and career aspirations. Again, it comes back to, as a researcher, what you need to train in. Obviously, there might be some mandatory training that you need to achieve, but I think there's more upskilling is required outside your research sort of area. And think about the opportunities of how maybe do that. So, within our faculty, I support postgraduate research to do some at least 6 hours of teaching per week. So we make sure we've got the students supporting in as teaching assistants. And with that, we are also offering them associate FHEA, so they can sort of qualify as a teacher, some sort of credential. So those who want to go into academia, they have that sort of baseline to apply. Gone are the days where you need several sort of publications, you need several of grants that you have to before you get your first lectureship. The way things are going now with pedagogy, teaching and research, there's a lot of opportunity once you finish your graduation. If you want to stay in academia, you need to get your first lectureship or a part-time lectureship straight after completing your PhD. Mentorship program. I think we did touch on mentorship when I was talking about it in this discussion. I think mentorship is very key. Near peer support. So those PhD students which are slightly senior, what we in our university we offer a mentorship program. So the first year, third year students mentor the first years, and that's been very valuable. Not only learning about the tiny processes, but also some of the ins and outs of the university. So mentorship scheme is very important, but also offering training sessions. So you might be familiar with research methodology within your own area. Support the younger researchers coming in with those techniques. It also develops you as a professional researcher. Also, the young researchers will find that quite valuable. I'm not sure whether you know about the VTE, the freshman development sort of platform, but the VTE is a good resource for looking at research development as well. You can easily register as a student, and there's a lot of information on there. But that's all from me. A quick whistleblower sort of stop in terms of what my postgraduate research might look like. And as I said, finally, let's leave this slide. As I said, as I said, when we do our advice, so we only can keep our matpuchi if our well-being, mental well-being, is sound. I think I did make that point there, that who do we reach out to? So each institute will have their own student well-being and have a support team. PhD research can be a lonely place sometimes. There has been a lot of resources since I did my PhD, but again, going back to my experience on my second year, it was a daunting effect for me. The only person I had a chat with was also my father, who was an academic back then, and he didn't know what to do. But now do reach out to the relevant support mechanism in place to help you support with this sort of, I'll say, a very complex journey that you'll probably go through in
you back on schedule as well. That's brilliant.